Good evening and welcome back to our fourth and our final Orlando Youth Chamber Ensemble live stream. Again, we have some wonderful opportunities to present for you all tonight and would like to keep you informed of all the developing happening this season. This season, we are adding four new exciting ensembles. We have our jazz workshop, our vocal jazz ensemble, and our two newest string orchestras, along with some new vibrant ensemble directors and staff members to give each and one of our ensemble members the best experience possible with the Orlando Youth Chamber Ensemble. With that, we would like to give you an update on some upcoming dates we have for this season. Registration deadline is going to be December 11th. Our audition date for our audition ensembles will be December 19th. And here is Jesus Lopez to talk more about the audition process.
Yeah, so again, it's OYCE's philosophy that we don't turn any student away. So don't ever be scared of auditioning. For those students that do not want to audition, we have ensembles that are audition free of the same style and genre. For example, if you don't want to just audition for Jazz 1 or 2, don't worry, we have Jazz Workshop for you. If you don't want to audition for our top string ensemble, we have our chamber group led by Mr. Brandon Bengo, an amazing educator in his own right. So don't worry, just because you don't feel like you should or you're ready to audition, don't fret. We have an ensemble for you, and the instruction and the quality doesn't change. Again, those are just for the students that want that extra challenge and want to be playing some of the tougher literature we have to offer.
Perfect. Thank you for that information. Also, please follow us on our social media. We have our Facebook, YouTube, our Instagram. You can find that all below, all under OYC Official. Please take a like, share with your friends, and definitely follow us on all of our social media. The start date of the season is looking to be January 12th. So please make sure you are prepared and ready to go for those. And we're going to talk a little bit about our safety protocols for what we're going to be doing to combat COVID.
Absolutely. And don't worry, like when you hear the date January 12th, that does not mean everybody starts January 12th. We have ensembles from Monday to Friday. So please check what day and time your corresponding ensemble is, and that's when you will be required to show up for the first rehearsal. So not everyone will start on the 12th. You might start on the 13th, 14th, 15th, or 16th. But with that, I'm super excited to talk about this live stream in particular. I myself, being a woodwind player, I'm so excited to have the opportunity to talk about and share with our woodwind faculty and some of our partners that we have here today. But yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, though, the woodwind faculty take up the majority of the ensemble directors we have. And if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head, we have two clarinet choir directors, two saxophone choir directors. We have a double reed director and I'm missing one. Our flute choir director. It's always the flutes.
Always.
He's going to give me a hard time for that later, but it's okay. But yeah, these are an amazing group of individuals. And I'm so excited to have them on our staff. We have people with master's degrees, band directors, professional musicians, private lesson teachers, college faculty. Yeah, Steve, I'm shouting you out. But again, I'm so thrilled that we were able to assemble and amass this team of amazing individuals, and not so much amazing musicians, but passionate educators that are so excited to share their expertise of their instrument. Because remember, OYCE is all about instrument-specific instruction. If you're a trumpet player, we have a trumpet choir for you. If you're a clarinet player, we have a clarinet choir for you. So that the entirety of the time that you're sitting in our rehearsals, it's information geared towards you and your instrument. But with that, I think we're ready to introduce the Director of Bands at Innovation Middle School, Mr. Jose Fernandez. I think we're having slight technical Hey, here he is.
Hey, there I'm in.
Hey,
how's it going, guys?
It's almost Thanksgiving break, so pretty good, right?
Yes, very excited for that.
Right.
Much needed break coming up.
You mean teaching in 2020 isn't the most thrilling thing in the world?
No, it's fun. We're doing the best that we can, and this has been a great learning experience for all educators around. We've had to really buckle down on our learning of technology, and I think it's really pushed us to kind of hone in on that kind of side of teaching. So it's been good in that sense.
So Jose, or Mr. Fernandez for you innovation students out there, watching and listening. I want to let you start by just talking a little bit about yourself and not so much, how like your experiences as an educator, but your experiences as a flute player.
Yeah, so I've started playing flute, I want to say around the age of 10, 11. I guess that's when you go into middle school age. Um, and um, and I started fairly young. And I went through my middle school years. I took private lessons. I was lucky enough to find a local flute player who's actually a clarinet player, and he was a fantastic musician. And he kind of helped me get through the basics of flutes. And then I went to the New World School of the Arts down in Miami for my high school experience. A fantastic art school. Got to study with some great conductors and some great musicians. And after that, I attended Florida State University, where I studied with Professor Ava Omsler, played in the ensembles through there, and I was able to also work on Baroque flute playing, piccolo, and some orchestral and band playing. And I still continue to play to this day, and it's exciting, and I really enjoy playing flute at all times. It's a great instrument.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about flute playing and myself dabbling with it. Jose always gives me a hard time about being a clarinet player, not a flute player, right? But
Yes.
one of the things I think is super cool about not just Mr. Fernandez, but about our flute choirs is that we don't just talk about the C flute. We try and talk about the alto flute, bass flute, piccolo flute, and all that. So kind of, I want to ask you about how do we plan on incorporating some of the in terms of the repertoire that you're planning to play, all the other flutes, not just the C flute.
Yeah, so being in a flute choir gives you the opportunity to kind of explore the other flutes that are part of the family. Normally, in a band or orchestral setting, you're only playing C flute, piccolo, um, and sometimes alto flute. But in the flute choir setting, you get to really dig into to these other flutes that we have, and it's a really great experience. And it's kind of neat to experience what it is to play a bass flute or a contrabass flute. You start to think more of kind of like a tuba kind of sound and an approach to playing that instrument. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. We're gonna be expanding our repertoire and our um, selection of instruments, and with that, you're gonna get a lot of different colors, a lot of different sounds that comes with those instruments.
And for those of you wondering a little bit on how our flute choir sounds, be on the lookout. We have this really cool video coming out talking about our ensembles and our organizations. And you might find a little clip of the flute choir playing. I think it was Tico Tico from last year. I love that.
Yes, that's a fantastic tune.
Um, but I want to talk to you. I always loved like when I was on there on Thursdays watching rehearsals. I love that it wasn't just here. This is the program we're playing, and this is the only thing we're doing. I really want you to elaborate and talk about how like when I would show up and I'd watch you teach because I also Mr. Fernandez is such a great teacher. I love to learn from him myself. Um, is how you took the first half of the rehearsal and it wasn't just here, let's play music. It's just let's learn some of the techniques that sometimes get overlooked in band rehearsals. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, when you are in your band class, it's really difficult for your band director to really get into the nitty gritty of playing your instrument. And if you are not able to take private lessons, it's also difficult to find an expert that knows what it takes to really progress on the instrument. So I try to start off rehearsals with all sorts of warm-ups, but warm-ups that are really essential to flute playing, and techniques that are helpful to expand the range of the instrument, to expand the sound, and to really start working towards being a complete flute player, not only just a band member, but dabbling in orchestral music, orchestral excerpts, extended techniques, 20th century music. So I think it's an essential part of any instrument playing, and being part of a OYCE kind of gives you that one-on-one attention and that extra information that you might not necessarily get from your band class.
And one thing I really want to add to what Mr. Fernandez was saying is we're not a substitute for private lessons. Like I myself am a private lesson
Correct.
teacher. Our saxophone choir directors are private lesson teachers, especially. And of course, Mr. Fernandez teaches private lessons, so does Mr. Ricketts. But it's something in addition to. Like OICE is all about supplementary education. Like we're not here to like substitute your band class. No, we're not here to
No.
substitute private lessons. But it's a way. It's like almost a melting pot, right? A little bit of both, a little bit of private lessons, a little bit of your band class, and in a new way. But it's also a way for you to get another opinion, Mr. Fernandez's or some of our interns or our clinicians that we bring out. But we touched upon it a little bit. We're talking about clinicians. So what are your plans and some of your ideas when it comes to bringing in outside guests to work with the flute choir?
For sure, yeah. Central Florida has no shortage of amazing musicians. We have great colleges in our area with fantastic professors that host their own events and are always trying to reach out to different students around town. We plan to, we hopefully COVID kind of lets us get out there and perform. But participating in all sorts of different events like Flute Fair, Flute Day at UCF, and just going out around town and showcasing the skills of the members of the group, I think is important.
Absolutely. But Mr. Figueroa, do you have any more questions?
No, I know Mr. Fernandez for a long time, and I'm happy to have him part on board of what we're doing here at OYCE. He's been with us for some years now, so we're very excited for the flute choir and all the endeavors that they're going to be doing for this year.
Yeah. So, is there one more last message you want to get out to all the potential flute students and returning flute students to the flute choir?
Yeah. Flute choir is a lot of fun. I myself was in flute choir all throughout my years at Florida State. We were required to be part of a flute choir for, I believe, it's a year, and I did it every single semester. It was a joy to be in, to play all sorts of different arrangements for the flute choir, and it really expands your playing individually. And you're going to go back to your band room, and you're going to be a better player because of it. So look forward to seeing you guys this upcoming season.
I can't agree with Mr. Fernandez more. It's great having such a good friend. And when we tell you that, we're not joking. Like Mr. Fernandez and I were just hanging out this weekend, literally, and we'll go and we'll play Pokemon Go together, and we just hang out. That's what this is about. It's for the students and for the educators, and for the interns. It's a melting pot. I can't stress that enough. Where it's all about your education. It's also about the relationships you guys have and will develop, and then the education you can get from those relationships. Like, I go to Dr. Phillips High School and we do this, and then I go to Edgewater High School and we do this. Oh, let me borrow a little bit of this. Let me borrow a little bit of that. And again, with the instruction from Mr. Fernandez, it's let's take this community, put it together, and see if we can make it just a little bit better.
For sure. And one last thing to add is, for any younger flute players that are out there that might be afraid or hesitant to join a group like this, I wouldn't think twice. I mean, last season we had a few middle school students part of the group, and I know they were learning a lot and taking a lot of great things back to their band room. So if you're a middle school or high school student, this is open to all levels. Just come in and we'll grow together.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Mr. Fernandez, and don't you worry, we will be able to hear more from him in the later on in this video, right?
Oh, of course.
All right, we'll see you.
But yeah, as we go on to talk about our clarinet choirs, or no, not clarinets, double reed ensemble.
Double reeds. Can't forget about them.
The beauty of live television. Where no, but as we bring up Mr. Devin Bieber to talk about the double reed choirs, I can't stress it enough to continue to check out our Instagram and our Facebook pages and all of our, even our website at oyce.org. Look at that, it's down below. To find out what we're doing. I know that these past couple of weeks we've been doing some really incredible and crazy master classes, and again, I know I sound super biased, but I can't stress it enough, like how awesome it was to get to work with like Wayne Bergeron, the trumpet player who played the themes for The Incredibles, and Katie Mess, the flute professor at Rollins. But don't worry, again, we have a plethora of masterclasses coming up in the near future, and the only way to find out about those is by checking out our social media and checking out what we have in store. And of course, most importantly, don't forget to register. We'd love to have you guys, and we'd love for you guys to be part of our ensembles. But with that, I want to introduce Director of Bands at Horizon Middle School, CEO of Florida Reeds, this crazy guy who puts together these insane bassoon classes with bassoonists from all over the country and the world, Mr. Devin Bieber.
Hey guys.
Hey.
While I'm making reeds.
Welcome to the show.
Hello.
He's already there building reeds.
I don't know. I see you like working on reeds.
Yeah.
But how have you been? How's it going? You were just finishing up a rehearsal too, weren't you?
Well, actually ended up canceling that because several of my students ended up having to quarantine. So, it's that time of year. But hey, I mean, thankfully, I guess none of us actually have COVID. So it was just, contact tracing.
No, absolutely. You can never be too safe. But with that, the same as with Mr. Fernandez, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experiences with the bassoon.
Yeah, so funny enough, I actually didn't start on bassoon. I, believe it or not, I started on trumpet back in middle school, and was kind of unsuccessful with that for a few months. And to be honest with you, I just wanted to play an instrument that no one else played. At the time, no one else in the whole group at Meadowwoods Middle School had played bassoon. So there's a little picture on the wall, and actually it wasn't a bassoon, it was a contrabassoon, a picture. I'm like, okay, I want to play that. Where can I get that? And they're like, no. I love your enthusiasm, but you have to start with. To be honest with you, I struggled for many years, as many bassoonists do, simply because my band director at the time was a brass player, and the bassoon wasn't his strong suit. So yeah, to be honest with you, I don't even know how I got through my first couple of years. Until high school, I started taking it more seriously and doing private lessons and such. Let's see, going into high school, actually around that time, I actually started making my own reeds in high school. I actually sort of taught myself. I bought every book that I could find on making reeds, simply because all the reeds I was buying weren't like playable to me. Some of them were too soft, some of them were too hard. So I started making reeds back in high school, and they're all horrible, of course, as many of my students know that are in my group. The first 100 reeds you make probably are going to be not too great. But really, practice makes perfect. So I'll kind of bookmark that, and I'll move on. So continued bassoon. I've actually grown up in Central Florida, lived here all my life, and ended up going to UCF. At that point, I studied music composition, actually, and English literature. It ended up changing that to music education and performance, and double majoring in that, and that's what I got my degrees in there. After UCF, I intended to go straight into teaching, because at the end of the day, my goal was always to teach in some capacity. I love teaching. I mean, I remember when I was literally in elementary school, I would like have like a fake little classroom where I would like teach everybody like about different recorder things, how to play this in the recorder. So I always wanted to teach in some capacity, and it's really one of my passions, to be honest with you. After UCF, after my undergraduate degree, I actually dabbled in music business at University of Miami. And at the time, I know this sounds crazy now because everyone is taking classes online. But at the time, that master's degree for music business was only online. And I absolutely hated it. Now, this day and age, probably anyone could do that and be fine. But me at the time, this was like 5 years ago, I thought it was like deplorable. I thought it was bad, horrible. So I ended up not continuing with that, but I actually got a job at my school, my middle school, Horizon Middle School, and it's in Osceola County. So shout out to my Osceola people. Let's see, from there, I continued making reads and teaching. Really, at that point, I'll get back to the read making thing. I had been selling my reads in college. To many people, pretty much everybody there at UCF. And I started a website. Actually, I started at Etsy. So if anybody out there wants to start a small business, definitely, I mean, you could start and be very successful with something even like Etsy. I started on Etsy, ended up making a website. Then I ended up designing my own reed cases, and it really took off to the point where the bassoon community, which is kind of such an awesome thing, the bassoon community is so small that if you stick with it, you'll probably have connections to bassoonists across the world within your 15th year of playing or whatever. So that's kind of a very unique thing about bassoon.
So with that being said, can you tell us a little bit
My
about
summary.
Can you hear us? Fantastic. If you can, Mr. Bieber, can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to do this year with the ensemble? I know you've been with us for some time now. What are some goals and what are some pieces in mind that you have for this ensemble this year?
So I don't want to spoil anything at the moment, but I'm a huge believer in having double reed, because it's not just a bassoon ensemble. You know, keep in mind that some of the people out there, like oboists, etc., or my bassoon people won't tell their oboe friends to join simply because they think it's a bassoon only ensemble. It is true that the majority of us do play bassoon because that's how we started 2-3 years ago, but it's really a double reed ensemble. So I want to cater to that. Well, when a lot of people think double reed ensemble, they think, okay, a bassoon duet or a bassoon trio or a oboe duet, maybe throw in an English horn every once in a while. I really want to actually incorporate all the instruments in multiple voicings. The pieces I had chosen last year had 5 bassoon parts, 2 oboe, and an English horn part. So instead of simply just it being a duet doubled by 6 bassoons in each part, yes, we did have 14 bassoons. Instead, breaking up into like a quartet, a bassoon quintet, 4 quartet with a contrabassoon, which we do have access to. So in general, I am a huge fan of orchestral arrangements. So last year we had worked on a couple Elgar arrangements, pictures at exhibition. This year I want to really delve into more of the romantic period stuff. So I have, let's see, can't think of the piece off the top of my head, but I have a Brahms arrangement I want to work on, a Berlioz Symphony Fantastique, and that's pretty high level. I want to see if we can do that, but that's a very extended ensemble. I believe it has 6 bassoon parts, so that's pretty wild. And I can't think of the other one off the top of my head. I want to finish out the Elgar. We never got to perform that. So in summary, I really want to do a lot of orchestral arrangements with multiple parts, not just a trio, not just a quartet, but quintets, oboe trio, etc.
No, that's very important, especially with oboes and bassoons. They play a very big part in the orchestra. So giving kids the chance and the ability to do that in an ensemble is fantastic. And it is a sight to see 12 and more double reeds playing together. It's not normal, and I love it. With that being said, who are some people that you're planning out bringing out for as a clinician for the double reed ensemble?
Well, kind of like Jose was saying earlier, and actually, bear with me a second because I don't want my computer to die. So I'm going to plug that in. Okay, so kind of like Jose was saying, there's actually a wealth of woodwind performers just in the Central Florida area alone. So I'm really going to start there and expand. And to be honest with you, we have a lot of graduate players in the area as well. Sorry. That necessary evil where I had to plug in my laptop. Okay, so who am I planning on bringing out? Well, for those of you that joined my double reed social pretty much a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago now, I'm planning on bringing out some of my friends, Erica, Chris Gonzalez, Erica Klippinger. They're both graduate players, bassoonists from the area, and they're more than willing to come in, which is awesome. They're phenomenal players. Of course, I do want to expand out to like local universities and their programs. So I have UCF and UF that already agreed to come in at some point. I also have the old staple, Kevin Fuller. He's a retired band director, and he hosts this event every year called Bassoon-O-Rama, which I'm going to talk about a little later. And I have planning to have him come out. I believe he has a heckle phone. I want to see if he could bring his heckle phone. That'd be awesome. It's a type of double reed. So I'm really going to start local, and that's already a wealth of people. That's a roster of like 7 people right there. So I'm excited. And then that's not even talking about the oboe people. I'm going to start putting my new oboe intern on that project to get some oboe players out.
Absolutely. One thing that I really wanted to talk about was how unique your ensemble is. Because in addition to the instrumentation, which is enough to brag about in its own right, having English horns and contrabassoons and all that is how you spend your rehearsal time. I know that with Jose, it was all about advanced techniques, vibrato, singing and playing at the same time, all these crazy wacky drills. Yours has nothing to do with playing the instrument at all, but it's a skill crucial to all double reed players.
Yeah. So we work a lot on reeds. And last year, granted, our season did get cut a little short, physically at least. We did have time to make at least 1 reed per student. Some were able to make 2, which is awesome. I mean, where do you get that opportunity? I wish I had that opportunity. Some of our students are in middle school. They're in literally 7th grade, and they're making their own reeds. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to say that it's easy, but with the proper tools and the guidance, and especially if you're working in a large group, it's less frustrating because, you know, if you're teaching a student one-on-one reed making, it's often pretty anxiety-inducing. You have a teacher looking over your shoulder the whole time. Oh no, don't do that. Move that 1 millimeter. No, oh, you broke it. This is a bit different. I mean, quite literally, at one point we had 10 bassoonists and 2 oboists, plus my brother, who's also an oboist, making reeds, plus our 2 bassoon interns, all at once on one giant table. So it's kind of a group setting. You know, it's one of those things where if you destroy a reed, there's plenty of cane to make another one, and you're next to people that can help you out. Yeah, so we focus a lot on reed making. What I did last year or last season was some full rehearsals. Actually, we just worked on reeds. So they would bring their bassoons and their oboes to just test the reeds that we make, but we wouldn't be having a full rehearsal. We would literally be sitting making reeds, and you'd be shocked at how fast 2 hours fly by when you're doing that. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. So in other situations, I would do half and half. So half rehearsal playing, half the second hour working on reeds. So No, it's a fun time. And all those reads pretty much were playable. In fact, in some situations, I'll use this one middle school student as an example. She made this read. It was able to make it the first week and test it out and play it and tune it the second week, and then use it in the rehearsal that same day or that same night. So a 2-week process and a read right there. I often joke to people, hey, if you can join this ensemble, even if you don't care about playing bassoon that much, it's worth it for the reads alone, and especially oboe. That's a whole other can of worms, but to learn reed making in high school and even middle school is so valuable. Plus, the students aren't paying for supplies. I provide them. So it's really quite awesome.
Yeah. Devin, you and I are gonna have to chat later because oboe is where my heart is. So no, just kidding. Just messing with you a little bit. But for those of you that are still sticking around and still watching, don't worry. Devin will be back later to continue talking about reeds, because there's one thing us woodwind players love to talk about is reeds. By the way, I'm giving you guys a sneak peek, but I want to make a shirt that says "It wasn't me, it was the reed." Right. But with that, I want to say thanks so much, Devin, for talking about your ensemble for a little bit. Is there any last things you want to say to your students or potential students?
Yeah, I would just say, guys, this is a really, I'm not going to say that the other ensembles aren't unique, but it's pretty rare that you find an outlet where you can come hang out with over a dozen bassoonists and hopefully equal amount of oboists once a week. I mean, you'd be shocked how many students actually like play oboe and bassoon. It's just that they're all on their own separate islands at each school. They have no communication with each other. This is a really unique opportunity. In fact, especially during these times, COVID, I certainly don't know of any ensembles like this anywhere. There may have been before COVID, but now definitely not during. So I just think it's a unique opportunity. I don't think you'll find this anywhere else. A lot of people, like Jose said, are anxious. They think, oh, well, I'm not good enough. I sound bad on bassoon. Don't worry, we'll fix that. We'll make it. You can make a reed yourself. We'll teach you how to make a reed that you will sound good on, no matter what level of player you are. So if you don't know already, I mean, bassoonists and oboists are usually quite inviting people. We're kind of, geeks in our own right. We're kind of our own little niche. And I feel like we're a really accepting community. We accept anyone from beginner to advanced player. So, yeah.
I can't agree with you more. By the way, Devin, after this, I'm going to go home and finish up a batch of oboe reeds I need to finish. So,
it's a struggle.
Never ending. But with that, I'm going to say thanks so much for being up here. And on to the next. So, while we get ready to introduce my partner in crime, Mr. Christian Ricketts, right? Our second clarinet choir director, because there's never enough clarinet players, clarinet choirs, clarinet choir directors. We need more. I do want to let you guys know that keep a lookout. We are planning on doing a virtual Zoom meeting for all returning students and students interested in OYCE. So we could just talk about the future of the organization, talk about registrations, and talk about ways that we can, again, as a community, continue to make this program, this family, this organization better together. But without further ado, the director bands at Millennium Park or Millennium, I can't. He's gonna get me on that one. But middle school, Stetson alumni, fellow clarinetist extraordinaire, Mr. Christian Ricketts.
Yo,
Hey. What up?
Doing all right. How y'all doing?
Doing well. I want to start this off by saying, you know how much I appreciate having you on the team, because the first 2 years balancing and managing a 90 to 100 piece clarinet choir by yourself was a little daunting, to say the least.
That's a lot of squeaking in that ensemble.
Always the brass players with the jokes, right?
Yes.
But tell us a little bit about yourself, some of your musical accomplishments, some of the things that you've done and aspire to do with the clarinet.
All right. So once again, my name is Christian Ricketts. I'm the director of bands at Millennium Middle School. I am a South Florida native. I come from Broward County. And from there, when I graduated, I came all the way up here to Central Florida to study at Stetson University, where I studied under Dr. Lynn Musco and Dr. Jessica Hall-Speak, two people who I adore very much. And I guess when I think about my clarinet journey, it all started back in middle school, of course, as most of us do, where I started on B-flat clarinet, and then I somehow just randomly made the switch to bass clarinet because I just thought it sounded really cool, and just kind of stuck with it for a bunch of years. And I had a really good experience growing up in my high school band program, my middle school band program, and whatnot. But when I think about when I really started to develop a love for the clarinet, it really started in college, where my teachers there really helped instill a love and appreciation for the instrument, its versatility, and the repertoire that came with it. So being surrounded by other clarinetists who really focused in that and really appreciated it just pushed that hunger even more, between the solo repertoire, chamber music, between clarinet duets, trios, quartets, woodwind quintets, anything that you can think of, there was always something for clarinet, and I was always just so grateful for that, and to be surrounded by a community of people who also just appreciated that. Well, yeah, that's like pretty much my big clarinet journey right there.
There we go. Right. We just needed a close up of you, Mr. Ricketts. No, but yeah, what's really cool about this clarinet choir is, I know we talked about how unique the flute choir is and how special and innovative the double reed choir is. But fun fact, the clarinet choir, OYCE's clarinet choir, is the original ensemble, the one that started it all. Right. So I remember it was like late 2017 where I sent out a message to all the my private lesson students from all the different schools, and I was just like, hey, let your friends know I want to have a giant clarinet choir rehearsal. Let's see how many kids we can get. And I was talking to Nadine, and I showed her. I'm just like, there's 70 kids in this that signed up to show up, and I'm just like, yeah, they probably won't show up. Yes and no. They did show up, but not just them. Even more kids showed up. So I think we capped out at 82 clarinet players in the first rehearsal. I was excited for it. I knew kids were interested. I didn't know kids were that interested. And they showed up, and it was so funny because it just worked out well. Where we had alto clarinets, and we had bass clarinets, and contrabasses, and B flats and E flats, and it kind of just worked itself out. And I passed out. I think it was Sorcerer's Apprentice, and boy, we were not ready for that. So it's just like, all right, let's hand that back in, and let's play something a tad bit easier. But they kept it. They kept it in their folders, and we put it together. Then I called up my good friend Steve, and I'm like, hey, Steve, let's put a saxophone choir together and a performance in 1 week. And his eyes opened up immensely, and he wanted to say, I bet he wanted to say some words to me, but he didn't. And we trucked along. We added the double reed choir and did the exact same thing. Hey, let's put an entire double bassoon choir at the time. And we went, and ta-da! And then just like a bunch of kids that I worked with were just like, let's do a jazz band. Who's gonna work that? I guess I'll do it. It's fine. And bam! Lo and behold, OYCE is born. So yes, you clarinet players, you can have a chip on your shoulder to say, yeah, the reeds are cool, and flutes, they don't even have reeds. So are they really woodwind instrument? No, I'm just kidding. That's a whole nother topic for another day. Right. But the clarinets, you guys can say, yeah, but this is the original group. This is our largest group. Yeah, no, I'm not biased at all towards the clarinet choir.
Not at all.
Not at all. But I'm gonna let Mr. Ricketts talk a little bit about how we plan to run it this year.
Cool. So one thing I just love about being here in Central Florida in general is that the clarinet community is so huge. So that means that there are people everywhere who are willing and able to come in, work with students, to come in and just play with you all, and for just so many students to just have the opportunity to come together and make music. So I really hope to push the envelope on that when we get started here very soon, hopefully in the safest way possible, of course. But I think the biggest thing we want to push this year is fundamentals. Just as you're saying, everything we're going to do here is complementary to what you're doing in your band rooms. But I think we're going to just really get into specifics on clarinets, the specific notes, their tendencies, and really take that avenue of fundamentals to develop really good, well-rounded players to become independent players. And then with that independence, we want to instill a confidence with all students that are going to come through the program. And I'm very excited that we are an organization that will include students of all advances, whether they're beginner level students, intermediate students, advanced students. I believe that we all just learn from each other. Some of the best things I've learned on clarinet weren't always from my teachers. It might have been from somebody who I was sitting next to, like, hey, what fingering for high G are you using? And then they'll show me this thing. And then for me, that little change of playing that note made all the difference in how I would play and the confidence that I would gain as a player and whatnot. So I really hope that the students will gain that experience through this group of working with each other as well as us and their band directors, and really just take on that full experience and become overall great clarinet players.
Absolutely. And like we said, since there's so many students in this group, and for a couple of reasons. One, we want to make sure that the education is fit for all of our members, and that we do everything safely. We are splitting up the clarinet choir. So Mr. Ricketts will have see, he gets all the young kids, and I'm jealous. But he will be working with the 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, and I will take the clarinet choir with the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. This way, but don't worry. Once things quell a little bit, I'm trying to use more SAT words. Right. We do plan on rehearsing the same music in some instances. Come together, have our mega choir, like some students have referred it to as. But like we said, oh my goodness, put together his own repertoire and his own program, and my group put together our concerts and our programs. The clarinet choir will always perform together. Like if we have a clarinet choir, it's like it won't be the top group or the older group will have a concert, not the younger group. It's no. If it's a clarinet choir concert, all students who play the clarinet in our groups will perform together. We will be together, we'll play pieces together, then we'll play pieces apart, then we'll play more pieces together. The more clarinet music, the better. But that is the goal. We also do plan on doing a lot of small chamber music, so duos, trios, quartets. You might even see some of the the clarinet faculty getting together and playing some. So Mr. Ricketts, myself, and some of our amazing interns that we have, right? We were talking about that today, weren't we?
Yep.
But some of the goals, again, we're super excited to continue to grow this clarinet choir. Let's see if we get it to 200 people, right? And we get to do that by putting together some amazing opportunities and events, like our second year when Van Joren came out. Miss Stacy, the clarinet professor at Florida Southern came out, and I remember she walked in with a garbage bag full of clarinet reeds, and she's like, "Here you go. I still have students playing on those reeds." Yeah, right. I know.
Can you have enough reeds?
Exactly. And when Didario came out, and then they got to play test their mouthpieces, and then Miss Sarah Eastwood, Dr. Sarah Eastwood, my apologies, came out, and she brought her garbage bag full of reeds, and she's like, "Here you go." and they got, again, play test equipment. I had a B-flat clarinet player who just like, "You know what? I play B-flat in school all the time. Can I play bass clarinet?" You absolutely can, because it's still the clarinet, right? But yeah, I know, Mr. Ricketts, can we talk about some of the guest clinicians that we're planning on bringing out this year?
Ooh, all right. Let's see. You mean the one that we were talking about the other day?
That one that's still on we're building pressure. We're building anticipation for that one.
Oh, okay. Well, like I was saying, there's going to be a plethora of guest people that we're going to definitely have in. because the community is so big. So like for me, we have lots of connections with people like the Stetson University students. I hope to have a lot of them come out to work with our students, local professionals who I know who are constantly working with students in schools. There are so many people that I know for sure are gonna jump at the opportunity to come work with these kids. So you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna learn a lot of different things. You're gonna learn a lot of exciting things. I hope to have a time to where I'm gonna have a specific guest come in and talk about extended techniques on clarinet, just because it's such a newer thing happening nowadays, and so many students are attempting to learn it on their own. So why not have a specific day to where we just work on that? And I think everybody's gonna love doing those kinds of things. And then all this stuff is gonna transfer into whatever music we're gonna perform in our groups. I want to be able to play traditional works, some things classical, but then I also want to introduce some more modern and contemporary works to these students, so that they are getting the full spectrum of music. I feel like a lot of times we look at music and we think it's either this or that, when we really should be exposing all types of it, no matter what genre, and using our classical instrument and pushing the envelope with that and seeing what we can do with it. So I'm really looking forward to being able to do that with the help of so many clarinetists in the community.
Absolutely, and we can't stress it enough. Like, if you're a clarinet player, register, and
Mhm.
once you have registered, tell your friend to register. We are the most numerous instrument in the band, right?
You never have enough.
Exactly. Whenever you got to band, what's the biggest section? Always the clarinet section, and we love to have you guys. Exactly. The with what's it? There's strength in numbers. I think that's the Golden State Warriors model,
Yes,
but
it
it's also our clarinet choir's model. So I challenge you. Let's get to 200 members, right? And then once we get to 2, let's get to 400, and after we get to 400, let's get to 800. But we will we were talking about how the double reed players. Wait, look at that. Benny says hi.
What's up, Benny?
Is right. No, I'm just kidding. Benny, we love you. Actually, he was on one of our earlier live streams, and we're so fortunate to be able to work with Benny. But what were you saying? But yeah, so let's build an army and take over the world as clarinet players, as we should.
And then it would be great too, just because the more of us there are. The great thing about the clarinet choir is we have so many different instruments. The orchestration is so versatile, and we can just do so much with it. So why not just build the number so that we can just make it even bigger?
Yeah, no, I have some really cool arrangements in mind. I have a Peter and the Wolf I want to play with the clarinet choir. But yeah, we have some of the. See, Nadine's been trying to convince me to do a Fantasia program where we play all the clarinet choir arrangements of the Fantasia movies. So I have some of those. Some really cool orchestral works, like and band works, like, oh my goodness, Granger, big piece.
Which one? Lincolnshire Poser?
Lincolnshire Poser. Look at that. He read my mind. That's why he's the vice president. So, and some really awesome pieces we want to work together. But again, the legend. Benny said, "Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Look at that.
There it is. Thank you, Benny.
Look at that. But I can't stress how excited I am to year 3, year 4, whatever it is. Look at that. Time flies. To really push how big this clarinet choir, not just big, but the quality and,
Right.
and the accomplishments and all the work that we have put in and all the work that we will put in.
Yes.
But with that, Mr. Ricketts, any last words?
Looking forward to seeing you all. Sign up. I want to see everybody there.
Tell your friends. And
Yes. Thank you again, Mr. Rick.
with this, it's just see. Fun fact about myself: I'm a woodwind doubler, so I would like to play all the woodwind instruments. So I have a
Doubler, tripler,
tripler,
quadrupler.
So as we round out our superstar, all-star saxophone lineup, I'm going to let Mr. Antonio Figueroa talk a little bit about some announcements.
Yes. So again, we have our registration deadline is going to be December 19th, December 11th. We'll have our audition date happening December 19th, and that is for our jazz ensemble, for our jazz one, for our top orchestra ensemble. And do we have any other? I believe those are our only two for our auditions. I'm gonna have Mr. Lopez talk about the audition process in a few. Please, again, as you can see on the ticker, oyce.org/register. Please, if you aren't doing anything right now while you're watching this live stream, go ahead and click on that and register for our phenomenal ensembles that we have for you this year. It's going to be a great season. I'm very excited. We all are very excited. We have some exciting things and exciting music, and we're just wanting to move the pace of this and really to make this exciting for our new members and our returning ones. So please make sure you guys are signing up. Again, oyce.org/register.
Like what Mr. Figueroa just said, I'm gonna continue to throw the word because that's the word of the night is exciting.
Yes.
But the only way that we can make these things happen is with your help. So register, and if you're a parent, let your students know about it. Let your friends know about it. If you're a student, you register. Tell your friends about it. Tell them what we're about, what we plan to do. If you're a band or orchestra or choir director, tell your students about it, because the only way this works is with your help, with the help of the community. We're an organization for the community, but we also need the community to help support this organization so we can continue to provide these opportunities, these exciting opportunities for our students, for not just this year, but for years to come.
And again, for those who are watching right now, please, again, like and share. Please share this video out for those who are unable to get in communication with us so they can see this tonight and to see all of our past live streams that are on our Facebook and our YouTube channel.
Exactly. Mr. Figueroa hinted at it. This video will stay up. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on our Facebook page. These will stay up for not years to come, but for at least for the season. But without further ado, I'm gonna start with the one and only Miss Sierra Hill, the amazing saxophone extraordinaire. Studied masters from Georgia State.
Georgia State, yes.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
I don't have a script, so this is all from the top of my head. So I'm surprised I got it.
Awesome.
And
Well,
bachelor's
hello,
from UC.
everybody.
And then, is he ready? Oh, yes, he is. We're also going to add the saxophone professor, the newly appointed saxophone professor at Seminole State or Seminole Community College. Look at that.
He's got two of them.
And two, right? And
Seminole State College.
And the newest professor at the second school escape me.
Eastern Florida State College.
So, Steve, I'm gonna let you take it away because I think I hear a saxophone choir in the background.
Well, good observation. You do hear a saxophone choir playing some early Christmas music. So it's never too early to hear some Christmas music. So, but yes, hey everyone. I am Mr. Aman, Mr. Stephen Aman. I am one of the two directors of the Orlando Youth Saxophone Choir. Glad to be talking with you guys about our plans for the upcoming season, and just to talk about some of our plans. Cool. Just to answer the question about the what you're hearing in the background. You do hear a saxophone ensemble. I also I'm one of the associate directors of the Central Florida Youth Saxophone Choir, which we might possibly do a joint performance with during our season. What I wanted us to do during this meeting, we're following a lot of safety protocols as a lot of, or all band programs around the country are doing right now. And I'm going to kind of just show everybody, what our rehearsals are going to look like, not only in the Orlando Youth Saxophone Choir, but probably most of the ensembles in the Orlando Youth Chamber Ensembles. So without further ado, we'll go in real quick. Got to get my mask on. All righty.
Opposed to be 1, 2, no opposed to be 8. Now,
So as you can see, we are very spread apart. We are in a circular formation around the room. Everybody's wearing a mask when not playing. They're playing Christmas music. We're spread out across the room as best as possible. We also have two organizations get you back to the rehearsal. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So the group, they're working hard. They're sounding really good. As you can see, it's not going to be set just like that. As we saw, we were around in a very big circle, spread out in a big, we're at the Fellowship Church in Winter Spring. So we're in their big sanctuary. So the biggest room they have, spread out, just to help with social distancing, protocols, things like that. So just to answer anybody's question about how our rehearsals are going to work, that's going to be very similar to what we're going to be going by.
Yeah, and that'll be similar not just for the saxophone group, but for all of our ensembles. Because yes, music education is one of our highest priority, but our highest priority is the safety and well-being of all of our students, interns, staff members, parents, families, anyone and everyone involved with our organization. But with that, I actually want to pass it over to Miss Sierra Hill. I want you to talk a little bit about your experiences with the saxophone.
Yes. So I began playing the saxophone at the age of 11, the typical age to start in middle school band. I'm also a local Floridian. Grew up in Central Florida, went to school out here in Lake County, Windy Hill Middle School, Eastridge High School, was really active in the band programs in both of those schools. And in 7th grade, I was very fortunate to start taking lessons with Mr. Scott Devlin. So I took lessons with Mr. Devlin all throughout middle school and high school. Once I got to college, of course, I went to the University of Central Florida. I did my bachelor's degree in saxophone performance. So I studied with Dr. George Wormchuk over there at UCF. So Steve and I both went to UCF, and we're both in the saxophone studio together. We played in saxophone quartets together at UCF. And so in my sophomore year, or the summer before my sophomore year in undergrad, I heard about this saxophone camp, the Saxophone Institute called the Frederick L. Hemke Saxophone Institute. And this was up in Maine. And so I went to this Saxophone Institute and I studied with some phenomenal musicians, saxophonists. And while I was at this institute, I met students who were currently in the studio at Georgia State University. And they told me about, hey, this event is coming up, Atlanta Saxophone Day. You should come and meet our professor, Dr. Janberry Baker. So I went to Atlanta Saxophone Day that year, and I met Dr. Baker. And so I started thinking about Georgia State as a possible option for grad school. And so that is where I ended up going. I got my master's degree at Georgia State University. So I lived in Atlanta for about 2.5 years. And then I moved back down to the Central Florida area with the goal of sharing everything that I learned about playing the saxophone and being a musician, with the goal of bringing that back to the community here in Lake County, Orange County, Central Florida, and this area.
That's super awesome. And it's like, And what's really cool about our staff is, and something we strive for, is diversity. And on the topic of diversity, I'm gonna let you take it away, Miss Sierra Hill, because I want you to talk to our audience and our students about the super awesome project and initiative that you're starting.
Yes, so I have had the opportunity to be involved in this initiative through the North American Saxophone Alliance. They have a committee on the status of women, and this committee was formed pretty recently, within the past couple of years here, and they've been doing some really outstanding work on promoting diversity within our community of North American Saxophone Alliance members, which of course, North American, it's national. Even our work goes international because the saxophone community is international and everybody is all connected. So this initiative is essentially a mentoring program. And so I am developing a community engagement project with the help of my mentor. And I immediately wanted to do a project on musicians' health and wellness because it is so important. It's essential to what we do as musicians. So I wanted to tailor this initiative to our students here in the Orlando Youth Chamber Ensembles, so to our students 7th through 12th grade. So we are going to be bringing in guest speakers to give webinars on topics. It's going to be about 6 seminars or webinars. We're going to talk about topics from time management, setting goals. We are going to talk about mindset and mindfulness, so learning stress management techniques like yoga, deep breathing exercises. We're going to be researching and providing as many resources as we can to our students. We will be focusing on both the mental health and the physical health aspect. So the mental health, we're going to talk about mindfulness, as I said, and mindset. We're going to discuss any potential, anxiety or depression that musicians might encounter, whether they're in middle school, high school, or college, and how to reach out and get some help. We're going to be looking at bringing in a counselor from a local college to talk about the kind of opportunities that are available in most colleges. And then we're also going to do a bit of yoga, hopefully. So then that's going to bridge over into the physical health side. We're going to be talking about preventing injuries. So preventing those repetitive stress injuries that we might get from playing our instruments or from having improper posture. And we're going to talk about how to correct our posture, how to breathe properly. And we're going to talk about how to stretch properly to prevent injuries. And also we're going to look at nutrition, sleep, and exercise, as well as those integrate into physical health. So we're looking at having experts on occupational therapy, maybe a hand therapy expert to talk to us about preventing injuries. We're looking at possibly having a personal trainer and nutritionist come in to give us some advice on what we need to do to keep our bodies running so that we can make our music and keep going. So I know that was a lot, but we're really looking to do a whole overview of the health of musicians, specifically our student musicians in our organization here.
Yeah, and what's really cool is we just mentioned that our first priority is the health and well-being of our students, and this goes beyond COVID. I know that we hear it a lot during these times in particular. When we say health and wellness, it's just like, oh, preventative measures of COVID, but it goes beyond that. It's the health and well-being of our students for years and years and years to come. So make sure when they're playing their instrument, they're doing it safely. Physical health, mental health, and any kind of other health that Miss Sierra will specialize in. But yeah, no, I think it's super awesome. But with that, I want to invite back Mr. Stephen Amon. Hey, speaking of health, how's your arm from basketball?
It's 90% better, so I don't really feel the pain. So luckily, I was able to conduct my 2 pieces with both arms tonight. So
Well, fun fact
progress.
a fun fact for our viewers tonight, Mr. Stephen Amon, he is a specialty center for the NBA G League. So he is.
If all we're saying is that if we get 200 saxophone players to sign up, Mr. Stephen Amon will dunk a basketball. He's almost there. I've seen him do it.
He's getting very close.
But with that, I want to talk about your experiences with the saxophone and how you got to where you are today.
Well, fun fact. I actually, before I was in beginning band, when I was in 5th grade, our local middle school came by, and the lead alto player in the middle school band over there was all-state caliber, first chair all-state. And I remember he played this solo, and I'm like, man, I want to play saxophone. Get to the instrument fitting, and they gave me a clarinet. So I actually started out on clarinet, did half of beginning band on it. And then for Christmas in 6th grade, my parents got me a tenor saxophone for Christmas. So throughout middle school and high school, I played saxophone through in jazz band, and I stuck with clarinet and bass clarinet doing the concert ensembles throughout my middle school and high school career. When I got to college, I knew I wanted to do music, and I hadn't touched an alto except for the last month of marching season, my sophomore year of high school. So I studied with Dr. Wormchuck as well. And I remember going for a lesson with him on tenor sax. And I asked him, hey, should I get my own tenor or should I get an alto? And he told me to get an alto. And since then, I've been playing alto primarily, and I love every single minute of it. Did my undergrad at UCF, studied with Dr. Wormchuck all 4 years. The first year of my master's, I went up to the University of Florida and I studied with Dr. Jonathan Helton, and I learned a lot from both of them, different types of practice techniques, different ways to practice scales, different scale patterns, different repertoire, different ways to look at repertoire. And just like with Sierra, I spent 2 summers at the Frederick L. Hemke Saxophone Institute in Sydney, Maine as well. And 2 summers I studied with not only Dr. Hemke, but Dr. Sampin. I've studied with Masato Komori and his quartet. I've studied with Sean Hurlbert, Dr. Levinsky, and really those 2 summers, going from the first summer I studied with them to the second summer, that whole year was a journey for me. Because, there's a lot of things that I wasn't quite sure about on saxophone after I finished my undergrad, things like I want to learn so much more. I don't think this is it. And really in that year, I've realized, or I was taught different ways, how to see saxophone, how to play it, different ideas. And I remember, a lot of performers will say that they have that one performance that kind of, does it for them. It gets rid of, the performance anxiety, the stress. And Miss Hill remembers this. It was that second year I went up to the camp, and I was playing the Maslanka Sonata for saxophone and piano, and one of the hardest pieces in the saxophone repertoire. And I remember going and playing the first movement during my first lesson for Dr. Hemke, and he told me at the end of the lesson, he's like, hey, you should memorize this. And I wanted to take that because that piece to me, it's one of my favorite in the saxophone repertoire. I remember trying to attempt it numerous times when I was an undergrad, never could quite get it. And the point where I was playing at the Hemke camp, I never thought about memorizing it before. So I remember that next week and a half was very stressful for me. Sierra can also attest to that. She saw me getting stressed out for this performance. And then the performance came. And I remember just sitting in the second row edge seat, and my nerves got to the point where I was getting that restless leg syndrome, where like my knee was shaking really bad. And Dr. Hemke walked by, saw that was what was happening, didn't even ask. He's like, "You're going to do great." Just, he had this talk about the left and the right hemisphere. One side is saying it's like all the bad things that could happen, and then the other side is all the positive things are going to happen. He wanted me to focus on what the positives were, all the work that was put in. So I go up there. I remember playing the first note, and I remember playing the last note, and that's all I remember from the performance. It was not the strangest thing that happened, but that was the one point where I'm like, okay, cool. I know I'm in. I know this is what I need to be doing the rest of my life. It got rid of the anxiety, it got rid of the stress, because playing a piece from memory in front of Dr. Hemke, in front of all those teachers there, it was very nerve-wracking. But it was that push that helped me continue pursuing music and not a secondary career. And if I wouldn't have gone to that camp, wouldn't have done that performance, a lot of things might have not happened. I might have never met Mr. Jesus and been part of this organization. I may have never been able to get the two positions I'm at Seminole State College and at Eastern Florida State College right now. A lot of those things, it kind of was the falling into place for me. So, but that's, kind of my journey with saxophone, and a lot of the reasons why I wanted to continue pursuing it as a career and, use it as my primary focus rather than a secondary or a third focus.
Absolutely. And with that, I find it so cool that you guys went to high school, middle school too, or just high school?
Just high school.
High school and college together.
Yeah.
I think it's and went to all these camps together, and that's what it's about. It's again one giant musical family. But with that, I think you guys have a video prepared, right?
Yes.
So let's play that for our audiences. Oh. There we go.
Oh, that's Steve.
There we go. It's I'm telling you, live TV at its finest. But here we go.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Mr. Rahman.
And I'm Miss Hill.
And we are the directors of the Orlando Youth Saxophone Choir in conjunction with the Orlando Youth Chamber Ensembles. We are very excited to present our plan to you all today about our upcoming season.
And of course, this upcoming season will look a little bit different from years past, as we will be adhering to COVID-19 safety protocols and guidelines. We will be providing the opportunity to participate in a large saxophone choir, which will have socially distanced rehearsals. We will also provide the opportunity to participate in one of two smaller saxophone ensembles, one of which will be grades 7 to 9, and the second will be grades 10 to 12. Each of these two ensembles will be rehearsing separately, and they will have their own unique repertoire, but both will come together at the end of the season for a joint concert.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Another cool feature that we are going to be adding this year is the incorporation of the saxophone quartet. Not only is it going to give students experience in this very important area of saxophone study, but it's going to give them the opportunity to collaborate with other student saxophonists around the Central Florida area that are joining the Orlando Youth Saxophone Choirs.
We will be sanitizing chairs, stands, and equipment. We will be implementing temperature checks, and masks will be worn at all times when not playing the instruments.
Thank you all for joining us today. And as a little added surprise, we've put together a small performance for y'all. Enjoy and stay safe.
Stop it. Oh, there we go. Look at that technology. Again, live television or live streaming. That's why they call it live streaming? Get it? Because it's live. Steve is telling me that I should not quit my day job. All right, but with that, I want to let you guys take it over and talk about some of the plans, ideas, goals that the saxophone choir have this year.
Yeah. So just to kind of supplement what we said in the video there, you may have noticed that we mentioned the quartets and we mentioned 2 smaller ensembles. So what we do in Orlando Youth Chamber Ensembles is we focus, of course, on chamber music, which is an opportunity that not all students have at their schools because they may not have the time or the resources to rehearse after school with their friends and do those chamber ensembles. So what's really unique about what we're doing this season with these quartets and these 2 smaller ensembles in our saxophone choir is that essentially our students are going to have 4 different levels of chamber ensemble playing experience, and that all compounds onto each other to influence how they see playing in a group and all the way up to the level of being in their full band at school. So in the saxophone quartets, they're going to be able to really zero in on principles like intonation, matching styles, balance and blend and the ensemble. Then we're going to take that and we're going to multiply it, make it just a little bit bigger. And they're going to be in those 2 smaller ensembles that are separated by grade level. And so those may end up being maybe a quintet or a sextet or a septet, octet, depending on what kind of numbers we have. So in that second ensemble, they're applying those principles that they learned in quartet. They're just applying it on a larger level. And then we get out to the full Orlando Youth Saxophone Choir group, which is all of the grades put together. So now they're applying these principles on an even larger level. And then they get back to their band programs and they play in their bands and their concert bands and their wind ensembles and symphonic bands. And now they're taking all those principles and they're applying it fully to their large ensemble, because playing in a concert band or a wind ensemble, you're essentially playing in a chamber ensemble. It's essentially chamber ensemble playing. If you think about it on the level of you're playing, you have yourself, and then you have everyone on your part, and then you have everyone in your section, then you have everyone in the woodwinds, you have the winds, and then you have the whole band as a whole. So we're really looking to give our students just a very diversified experience this year with these different levels of playing. And this is something that came about because of COVID-19 guidelines to reduce the number of students in a room. And it's really turning into now one of the strengths of what we can offer with our program this year. So Steve, if you want to add anything to that.
Yes, I just had to change locations real quick because the rehearsal is ending. So as I said earlier, we're planning on doing a joint performance with the Central Florida Youth Saxophone Ensemble, as you saw in rehearsal. And a lot of those students, quite a few of those students, are planning on joining the Orlando Youth Saxophone Choir as well. So what we're doing, and I know we're still finalizing this with Mr. Jesus, is that if they're part of both ensembles, they're going to get a small discount. So they have the opportunity to perform with both ensembles. The Central Florida Youth Saxophone Ensemble rehearses Wednesday nights, and then the Orlando Youth Saxophone Choir rehearses Friday night. So that's 2 different nights that students will be able to collaborate with other saxophonists across the Central Florida area, not only in the Orlando Youth Saxophone Choir, but in the Central Florida Youth Saxophone Ensemble as well. We're also planning on having the other 2 directors, Mr. Dan Ferry, Mr. Mark Holodinsky, come in as guests to help out the Orlando Saxophone Choir as well, along with other individuals. We're planning on bringing Dr. Wormchuck in to come work with us. And who knows, there could be a surprise artist that we could bring in this upcoming season. You never know until you join.
Yeah. So if I can just clarify something quickly, I know we mentioned all these different levels of fun saxophone ensembles that we have, the quartet, the 2 smaller ensembles, and the full choir. Everything that we do with OYSC, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not going to be adding a bunch of extra rehearsals just because you're in a saxophone quartet and you're also in a quintet, and then you're also in the full choir. We are going to schedule this to where, it's just that 1 night a week for OYSC, unless we're collaborating, with Mr. Dan Ferry's group.
Right. And just to go off on what Ms. Hill said, there's going to be some Fridays where it's going to be the larger ensembles. There's going to be some Fridays where it's just quartets that night. Then there's also going to be other weeks that we might ask the individuals to be available on a Wednesday night so we can meet up with the Central Florida Youth Saxophone Ensemble to do that rehearsal. It would only be one Wednesday during that concert cycle. But all those days are going to be put in our calendar at the beginning of the season, so everybody has them. So a lot of things will be coordinated, between not only the 2 groups, but all the smaller groups within the Orlando Youth Saxophone Choir. But long story short, it's all going to stay on that Friday night slot. There's going to be some days with the larger ensemble, some rehearsals with the quartets, and then some rehearsals with the guests coming in and doing a little master class or a little session with all the students.
And what's really cool, and some people are like, why would you talk about this other saxophone group when you have a saxophone group? I'm like, because it's not about their saxophone group or our saxophone group or UCS saxophone group or any saxophone group. It's all about the advocacy of instrument-specific instruction. Where, by the way, tell Mr. Ferry I said what's up. It's all about community and making sure that we give our students and we give their students as many opportunities to really focus on the saxophone. Oh my goodness, sorry. Miss Sierra Hill, are there any last words? Oh, by the way, I know Steve just jumped out, but don't forget, if we get 200 saxophone players, Steve, you will see him dunk a basketball. I want to see it happen, so let's make sure we get 200 saxophone.
And I think his video might have dropped because he might be getting a call from the NBA draft. So he might have drafted for.
I got the number. Got drafted 5th. I'm just kidding.
So remember, most importantly, if there's one thing you get from tonight is if we get 200 saxophonists, Mr. Stephen Amon will dunk a basketball.
Yes, that is the most important thing.
Dude, I don't even have Air Jordans yet. I can't dunk a basketball.
Let's take care of.
Ms. Sierra, is there any last words you want to say to the audience and all potential saxophone members?
I think I'm going to take a cue from Mr. Fernandez earlier, who was talking about with the flute choir how, and of course, with all of our ensembles, this is the case, but all levels and experience levels, ability levels, everyone is welcome. So if you are just beginning your saxophone instruction, we are going to be thrilled to have you join our ensemble and teach you the ropes and teach you how to play the saxophone. And if you're an advanced player and you're looking to go to college for saxophone, or you're looking to go right into your career as a musician, we'd love to have you. And we'd love to give you the experience of being able to mentor the younger members in our ensemble. So yes, all levels of experience are welcome.
Mr. Mon, anything?
That's all I have for right now. I actually do have to go. I have to get back to the end of this rehearsal to help pack up the sanctuary, but it was good seeing you all. Thank you for having us on. I'm looking forward to a successful season, and I will see you all at the very first rehearsal.
Look at that. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Now, we're super excited. So it's OYCE is all about inclusivity, right? And all about giving up, not turning anyone away. So I'm so excited to be able to introduce a very good friend of mine, Mr. Wait, hold on. I think he needs more build up than that. This guy, he's a performer in Central Florida, has performed with Disney, performs in Motown groups all over the place. He used to be a DJ at this resort on 192. Actually, where we became good friends. Even though he forgot to invite me that one time to was it Tuesday? Or TGI Fridays, right? Yeah, I'm not letting that go. But the CEO of LMP Entertainment, Mr. Linford Perrys.
How do you not forgive me for inviting you to TGI Fridays, but I invited you to my wedding? How does that not make up for TGI Fridays?
Okay, because I don't know, but by the way, for all of you guys watching, this was over 5 years ago, and I still haven't let it go. But I'm actually gonna also invite our marketing extraordinaire, Miss Nadine Jimenez, who also doubles up as an executive member for LMP Entertainment.
Sure, she's our production manager.
Look at that.
There you go. All of the above.
Take it away. I'm gonna go eat a slice of pizza.
She manages all our production. I'm not going to be long. I'm just so overwhelmed. Every time I do anything with you guys, I get so overwhelmed by the diversity and just the talent and just everything. It's just so much. My heart is so full because I've been a part of this almost from the beginning. So to watch it grow, how many ensembles do you have? Just out of curiosity now. We
have over 14.
Oh my!
Probably about 18 now.
Wow. So that's amazing. So kudos to you guys. So anyway, I am the CEO of LMP Entertainment. It is an entertainment production company. I'm sorry, maybe be more specific. It is a theatrical entertainment production company. We focus on doing a lot of theatrical productions here in Central Florida. I started this company with diversity in mind, specifically our artists of color. I wanted to make sure that they had a platform to express themselves, to participate, and also to grow. You know, a lot of times we have opportunities where they want you to already have it, but there's not a place for you to grow into it. And so I started this with that in mind. So I actually came on to just talk a little bit about our upcoming production. This is the first time I'm announcing it on this platform, so I'm so excited to have saved it for here. But we are doing a Soul Celebration Christmas concert. So every year we do our Soul Celebration series. And so this year we've decided to add a Christmas concert. It is going to be on Sunday, December 20th. But if you are not comfortable leaving your home, it will also be online. It will also be a virtual stream. So you'll be able to watch it there too. For more information or for tickets, you can visit www.lmpentertainment, our name's right down there, .net. That's very important. lmpentertainment.net. And you're going to hear some of your favorite Christmas songs sang with a little bit of soul. So I think you guys will like them. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all. So I hope you guys are able to join us for that. And we're just so excited to be partners with this amazing, amazing organization. What you guys are doing for the students is just incredible. And I just love how we're all accomplishing the same vision in a different way. So thanks for having me.
Yes, I just want to add on that, once again, reiterate that performance is a one-time, one day only in person at Marshall Ellis Theater, which is in Central Florida, not too far from the Florida Mall. And that'll be on December 20th. Yes. Yes,
Sunday, December 20th at 8 p.m. Yes. If you are going to come in person, of course, we will be doing temperature checks. Please wear your mask. The theater holds 140 people. We are only allowing 40 people. So it will be a lot of space for social distancing. So that'll be there. And again, if you're not comfortable, you can always buy those virtual live stream tickets to view it from your home. So that's an option as well. I think that's everything.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We have to reiterate that LMP Entertainment started around the same time that Orlando Youth Chamber Ensembles did. Yeah. We there was one day where all three of us were together, probably playing some kind of board game or eating some kind of dinner. We were just hanging out and we were all just talking about both of these businesses and starting them and growing them. So we're really excited to have you as our loyal partner and our loyal friend. And we're honored that you are announcing Soulful Christmas at our live stream. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
And if you need any more information, you can always check out their website, and we will also be promoting it on our social media platforms to lead you to that as well. Do you have anything to say, Jesus?
All I want to say is, it's super awesome to be able to work with Linford and LMP Entertainment. And you're like, oh, how do you guys work together? Again, it's all about inclusivity and community.
Yeah.
And we have while separate missions and separate ways that we achieve these, they're very like-minded goals. And getting people together. And you'd be surprised, we do work together quite a bit. Me helping out with sound, and Linford, that was a fun time. And Linford actually hosts and MCs our benefit concert and all that.
Yes.
Yes, for those of you guys that remember that devilishly Hampson MC at our
first benefit concert. The very first one. Yes.
This is the man, the myth, the legend right here.
And hopefully sometime in the near future, we will start collaborating together and provide a live band for any of the productions for LMP.
We just spoke about that not too long ago.
So keep an eye out for that. We're going to definitely have some exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Some very, very exciting things. I'm not going to give anything away, but we had a great talk. Jesus has got some amazing visions. I don't know where he keeps it all.
It's under the hair. That's why I have hair, just so that they don't fly away.
Yes, cool. Well, thank you guys again so much for having this platform and for doing what you do. I mean, it's just so amazing. When people talk about putting blood, sweat, and tears into something, I can tell you these guys put their blood, sweat, tears, hair, limbs, everything into this. They're not gonna stop until it succeeds the way that they see it. So anyone who's working with OYCE or with Jesus and all the directors, you guys are in good hands, because I mean, this is amazing. I can't say it enough. That's the only word that comes to my mind.
And likewise for LMP Entertainment as well.
Yes. Yes, Nadine has been there through it all.
The glue for both groups.
Awesome.
Just letting you know, after this live stream ends, I'm gonna go order my ticket.
Absolutely, for sure. I will not tell you about the OYCE comps. So yes, go order your ticket.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks, Linford.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
And with this, it's time to pass it over to our other partner, Mr. Devin Bieber. We talked about with his ensemble that don't worry about messing up your cane, or don't worry about like this tool that you don't have and all that. And that's because of our partnership with Florida Reads. So yes, Devin does not only act as a director for OYCE, but as a partner of OYCE. So I'm gonna let you take it away and talk a little bit more about Florida Reads. Oh, whoops. Whoop. There we go.
Hello again. Okay. Well, those two previous discussions are really hard to follow. So much so that I had to actually write notes here. But I feel like that friend when you're all at a dinner together and you're the guy whose food doesn't look as good as everyone else's and you're like jealous. Those are two really hard discussions to follow, because they had some really great things to say. I will talk about myself and my own business, but they actually kind of had my creative juices flowing, and now I'm going to go on a rant. I'll try to keep it short. So, hey, if there's anything we learned tonight, it's that it's just really just how closely our community of musicians here is at OYCE. I mean, sometimes I even forget that I actually went to school at UCF with Ciara and Steve. So that's pretty unique. That's awesome. Which are both incredible musicians, and they have some awesome initiatives. So, I want to remind people out there that are students that I even have middle school students that are talking about, hey, I would love to start a business someday. And I think a lot of people forget that there are many careers and outlets for musicians. As Linford said, you know, I actually had to write down his quote as he said it. And they were all kind of accomplishing the same vision in different ways, with collaboration, etc. So at the end of the day, as a musician or someone involved in the music field, you have to be aware that you are your own biggest fan. You have to promote yourself. You do it every single day in the smallest ways possible. You probably don't even realize that you're actually promoting yourself. Even with just simple posts on Facebook or a simple text, you're innately promoting yourself as a musician. You have to be your own biggest fans. And, you know, just as we all have our own initiatives, just like I think it was Ciara was saying, she's really promoting and looking into musicians' health and wellness, which is a really crucial subject. I've always been really invested in music business. So I've been around all aspects of music business, as I'm sure many of us have. From retail to working in a recording studio for a bit, to musicians work management and PR firms, and I even worked for booking pop bands and rock bands on their tours. So I've kind of been around a lot of aspects of music outside of performing, and a lot of people don't realize that that is actually the bulk of the music industry is not performing per se. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. So kind of going back to what I said, in high school, I had started making reeds, and I ended up turning it into a business, which in this current day and age has become and blossomed way more than reeds. In fact, reeds is now the least of what I sell. I have multiple other products. And let me consult my notes. So yes, Florida Reeds, that is my business. And, you know, right around 3 years ago, I really became really involved and invested in the online bassoon community. You know, this day and age is one of the easiest networking opportunities, is the online community. So I ended up designing a website, started with Etsy and morphed into creating my own website. And then that morphed into attending conferences here in Florida. I was just invited to attend, and teach a class in music business up at a community college in Virginia. I've attended several university double reed days at UCF and UF. So again, we as musicians, we have to be our biggest fans, and promote ourselves daily. You know, these things take time to nurture and grow, but I think it's really crucial. So as far as my involvement with OYCE, with Florida Reeds, yes, one of my biggest things, as I've said before, is teaching. So I provide all the reed equipment for students. So if you're hesitant, don't be. Trust me, I bought my first reed making equipment back in high school off of Craigslist. $20. I drove across Orlando and bought some old reed making tools, some of which I actually still have to this day. Like this, I bought this in high school, like literally, it's crazy. So yes, I provide all of the reed making equipment and cane as kind of a complimentary gift, I guess I could say, an incentive really to joining my ensemble. So if I had to wrap it up, and if you wanted to see a little what I make, I mean, obviously reeds, we know that, but reed cases, reed making accessories. Here's one of my newest ones. I'm actually working on, I haven't told anybody this yet, but I'm actually working on 3D printing with a different process, resin printing. Basically, you print something out of liquid. It's pretty crazy. Alto sax and clarinet reed cases. So they're going to be really cool and premium. So definitely you guys are going to be the first to test those out. I haven't told you that yet, but I'm working on it. I shouldn't have probably mentioned that, but oh well. So here we go. Here's another little product. But yeah, again, at the end of the day, I always promote, buy small, buy local, buy handmade, support your friends with small businesses. And you can always reach out to me with any business questions. I just had a middle school student today ask me a business question, so it's crazy. Some people think it's impossible to start their own business. It's not. I mean, look at some of our other members of this organization who this is their livelihood, or a supplement to some part of their livelihood. So that's my vision. Sorry for my rant, but I got inspired.
And look at that.
We enjoy every bit of
And
it.
that's what this is all about, is inspiring through education, through resources, through opportunities. But with this, I think this brings us up near the end of the live stream. This was our longest one yet, but jam packed with excitement, with opportunity. Thanks for the love, Gus. Hey, thanks for the love, Gus. Um, look at that. But with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Antonio Figueroa.
Again, we want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Florida Reads. Please, again, check out their website, floridareads.com. We want to thank LMP Entertainment. Thank you guys again for joining our live stream. Again, please follow us on Instagram at OYC_official. Follow our Facebook. And remember, please remember, OYCE.org/register. We are looking to have a great turnout in membership and are excited to see you very soon for our new start of the season. And thank you again, Mr. Devin Beaver, Jose Fernandez, and all of our wonderful new and exciting directors for our new ensembles, Sarah Hill, Steve Amon, and Mr. Christian Ricketts. So we are very excited to have them on board. And thank you guys again, and have a wonderful night.
Absolutely, yeah. I just want to send you guys off with, remember, this is an organization for the community, but we need the community to help support this organization. It works both ways. So let people know to share it. Let people know to register it. Let people know to purchase Devin's Reads and check out Linford's shows. And if you ever have a question, feel free. Just send us an email. Jesus.lopez@oyce.org.
Yes. Antonio.Figueroa@oyce.org.
Or any of our staff members at their first name, last name @oyce.org. Check out our social media. We can't stress it enough. Share it to your friends. And again, like Mr. Amon said, we can't wait to see you at our first rehearsal. But with that, I'm going to let you guys get ready for school, get ready for your next work day, and get ready for Thanksgiving next week. So good night, and thanks for being here, everyone.